Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. I suppose it's the only place to go today. The Amotekun, long silence of Tinubu. Now Tinubu has spoken. And we have the statement and he's explained why he was reticent, why he was taking his time. By now, everybody knows that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu had explained that there are those who would have wanted him to do a knee-jerk kind of reaction. But, you know, he was going to wait for all, as it were, all the data, as it were, to come in. Then we see the whole picture. Then we know where we are. My guest this morning, Mr. Seyi Adeyemo, who's publisher and public affairs analyst. Thank you, as always, for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Our pleasure in the house. And Mr. Adewale Adeoye, again, another friend of the house. Thank you very much for coming on, journalist and rights activist.
Thank you.
Let me just, we have a package, of course, but everybody has been waiting, as it were, with bated breath for Asiwaju to comment on the matter. Initially, you know, it came in two levels before the commentary. There were those who were saying, so what do you want Tinubu to say? I mean, the governors have put it out there. What do you want him to say? That was on one level. Then there were other people who were saying that, no, he has to say something. All the while, apparently, as Asiwaju has said to us now, he was just waiting so that I get all the, as it were, let all the parts come in, and then we know exactly where we are. Maybe if I were to start off with you, Adewale, give me your impression about, one, the call for an almost knee-jerk reaction, because they wanted, it looks like there's a part of the public that wanted a statement in the immediate wake of Amotekun.
Well, why do people really want Asiwaju to speak? We have to admit that it's because of his towering status in the political space. So we recognize that. But then there are two interests that wanted Asiwaju to speak. There are people that genuinely, were concerned that as a prominent figure, they wanted to know where he stands with genuine intention. But there are also other people that they are like putting down banana peels. They wanted him to work on the banana peels so that they can fall.
Hoping that he would misjudge.
Yes, they will use that opportunity to feast, on the political content of his statement. For this second set of people, there is nothing Asiwaju will say that it will satisfy them. Even now that he has spoken, what they are saying is that he has spoken too late.
Okay.
So there are two interests here. And I think it's a kind of political interest in the opposition that think that whatever Asiwaju said, they will sieve it and then isolate every word of it and see how they can make a negative narrative out of it.
Exactly, and that Seyi is one of the kind of banana peels that Asiwaju himself was saying that, look, if it is indeed fact, as some people are calling me leader, if indeed that is fact, then it behoves me to carry myself in a particular kind of way.
I think that's what I actually wanted to stress on, the fact that, so it is obvious that Asiwaju is a leader, because for me, the reason why everyone had wanted him to speak was because whether there was contest before that he was leader, now it is very sure that he's leader. And I believe that as a Nigerian, a leader, whether you're from the north or south, should always take its time to ensure that whatever he says or she says would not be one that will stir. Because if we're talking about security and we're talking about our lives and talking about the fact that we do not want any infighting or anything, then we should be very cautious and be deliberate in whatever we say. And I think leaders are the ones who should say it right, so that whatever they say will not be the one that will stir any form of disunity or discord amongst ourselves. So in my opinion, I believe leader Bola Ahmed Tinubu had said it right. I'd waited for the right time, in my own opinion, in my personal opinion. And I think, because you see, one thing I'd always said, and I think people have noticed it with me in Nigeria, I grew up at a time where Nigeria was truly one. I had neighbors who were Hausas, I had neighbors who were Igbos, I went to schools with them and families with them, and anything that would make us go different ways is not something that I am in support with. So anyone who would support unity is somebody that I respect and I regard as my true leader.
No doubt people are going to be analyzing the statement word for word, as you said, Adewale, and he had said that, look, the fabric is intact. The national fabric and fiber is intact. But the unhelpful commentary, the sensational commentary, that is what indeed might possibly cause some rendering if we're not careful. And so hopefully all of this, will give us all sort of pause to look at the whole matter again. He's given his suggestions as to how we can proceed, how things can be fine-tuned is the word I'd like to use, how things can be further fine-tuned, and that it was an entirely doable proposition. But before we go any further, we have a report, as we were saying. No, I didn't say it, but I did know that we have a report. Let's take that report and then come back to studio.
Okay.
Asiwaju Bola Tinubu says the public discourse over Amotekun has been turned into a political tug-of-war, fueled by more subjective talking than objective thinking. According to him, most of those in favor of and opposed to Amotekun are equally ignorant of its provisions. He added, quote, "Too much energy has been spent distorting this issue instead of seeking a resolution that supports local enhancement of security while keeping the Constitution intact." The national leader said he deliberately maintained a studied silence regarding the important yet delicate issue of Amotekun, despite attempts by those he called cynics who had hoped he might misspeak or misstep in a manner they could twist to their political advantage. So, after a reasonable assessment of facts, his verdict is out. The APC leader says Amotekun is similar to the neighborhood watch he launched when he was governor of Lagos State, which even the overreaching Obasanjo government didn't contend against. Though Amotekun doesn't appear to insult the Constitution, he says there are some aspects that seem to undermine rather than enhance its main function of information gathering. According to him, since the federal government now emphasizes grassroots policing, Amotekun should have focused on grassroots local organization at the state level without a regional command hierarchy. On the issue of consultations, he says the failure to include the Office of the Attorney General in these discussions is an unfortunate omission the governors should seek to remedy. In his words, though the use of uniforms and brightly colored vehicles may not be the best ideas, but they do not render Amotekun a defense agency or paramilitary group, as declared by the AGF. Lastly, he says the fabric of the republic hasn't been put at stake by Amotekun. However, those claiming that the federal government seeks to terribly suppress the Southwest have also lost their compass. Those who occupy these two extremes have sunken into the dark recesses of fear and political paranoia that can undo a nation if such sentiments are allowed to gestate.
Okay, so there we have a sort of a wrap-up of it. You have seen the speech, the statement, I beg your pardon. You have seen the statement, no doubt, yourself. It was all over social media when it was released yesterday evening. At least that's when it came to light. And so I guess what's left now is, what do you think? And that's, what we shall await. Call in and let's know what you think. In the meantime, Amotekun is on course. It seems to be what he is saying. I mean, not that he used those words, but Amotekun is on course, subject to, as I was saying, some fine-tuning, which, is that the way you understand it too, Adewale?
Yeah, I think Asiwaju's speech, was divided into three broad spectrum. The first one is he spoke about substantive merit of Amotekun. The second one, he spoke about decision-making processes. The third one, he spoke about recommendations. So in a way, he was looking at the strengths, the opportunities, the threats, and the weaknesses. And I think, for me, that's just a broad narrative that should help if we really want to make Amotekun to work. He actually spoke about the statement of the Attorney General being too hasty. And he also said what the Attorney General should have done was to have consulted instead of making open statement. And I think I agree with him because they are in the same political party. The party should have internal mechanism of
Okay.
dealing with this kind of issue.
Although in saying that the Attorney General, it might have seemed that he was hasty, he put it in context that he's a human being.
Yeah, he's a human
and to
being
criticize and to criticize him
He
like
spoke
that would be
about
to
the
criticize
fear.
humanity.
He spoke about the
You know,
fear of the Attorney
I think
General, that he was afraid that this thing could
Yeah, I
get
like-
out of hand. And
Exactly.
he was trying to create a bridge
Yes.
between the Attorney General and then the governor. Which I
Exactly.
think that should be what a national leader of any party should have done.
Indeed, I like the statement a lot, and I just wanted to point out that
Yeah.
even as he was saying that of the Attorney General, he was saying, but that's because he's a human being, and that would, to criticize him must be seen in the light of criticizing humanity. Mr. George, good morning, sir, in IKEJA.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Greetings to your guests. as
Indeed.
well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I have read Tinubu's statement.
Mhm.
You know, the other time we discussed the topic, I told you it was a ploy by some cabal to incite the Southwest against the presidency as a way of changing the calculus of 2023. You doubted me, but I think it's unfolding now. You see,
Did I go as far as doubting you, Mr. George? But it's
well,
okay.
that was, I may be wrong, but that was the interpretation I drew. I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So you can see the wisdom in this reply and the fact employed. They were deployed. They wanted to use it to spoil the chances of a Southwest president in the making. Uncle Yori, take it from me. Tinubu is the next president of this country. But there was something I drew from the statement. It looks as if the Southwest governor did not consult him before they came to a conclusion on that matter. I thought something that is of a regional nature needed a consultation with a man like Asiwaju. Because I know that there was a summit. I saw the gentleman on the left, that intelligent man on the left, at that summit.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that
and
Adewale?
people like that.
Who was seen at the summit?
But I cannot recall seeing people at that summit.
Okay.
I saw the only officer, who is who in the Southwest were in that summit. Does this mean that there was a mistake there? Because if there had been adequate consultation, I believe the mistake that Tinubu is pointing out now would have been avoided.
Indeed.
When you know you have enemies who are always setting traps for you, you make sure you avoid the trap. That's my view. But I can tell you, all is still intact.
All right.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. And as to that point you made, although you shifted ground, and I'm happy you did, that if that's just the impression you took. But, I try not to, put my particular bent. I might not succeed all the time, but I try not to put all my bent on whatever is being said. But thank you very much, Mr. George. What is pointed out that, it's like Tinubu was ahead of them in the sense that if you're wanting me to, the whole banana peel effect is not going to work. It cannot work, as some people say. It cannot work. So he waited, took it all in, and now has made the statement that it seems to, make some people happy. And he addressed all the areas and emphasized that the commentary is much more dangerous than the actual event itself, because people might have thrown caution to the wind.
For me, that's the character of the elders that we grew to know in the Yoruba land. I'm a Yoruba boy, and I believe that we are noted for thinking before we speak. We're people who would normally think through things, and particularly when you're a public figure and a leader like Bola Tinubu. So he's not expected to say something and start to retract it. And I think it is a very bad development that over time, we're beginning to see a situation where people just jump at saying things just for the sake of saying it. And over time, they will now start to take back their words. I think it's something that is, for me, a very, very dangerous development, particularly in the state that we've made ourselves right now in Nigeria. We are 450 different language speaking people. We're very diverse. And I think it's important. We do better as one, and we should all work towards being one.
Okay. Reverend Dominic, good morning, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Chief Yori. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good morning to your guest.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Chief Yori, there's this Chinese proverb that says, good thinking, good product.
Good product.
I think that the Tinubu, which I love so much, has spoken like a leader, has spoken as an elder, and has spoken as a potential Nigeria president. But there's something in between the lines. People who are championing this Amotekun, which is good, had they not did that Asiwaju was trying to say, nobody have had it. Let me use the word we, started neighborhood watch in Lagos. It was not the launching first. Due process was done. I think most of us were called in State Assembly to argue for and against, neighborhood watch. And after all the arguments, everything, the State Assembly passed a law. When it was born, the child, it was a property child conceived and it was given birth. There's something our state governors should learn from Lagos. They could have gone to State Assembly to finish the groundwork. That when we launch it, nobody will have anywhere to say it is good or it's not faulty. And this is what the Attorney General is saying. Due process was not taken. Let our brothers go back to drawing board and go to State Assembly of the whole state of Southwest and do due diligence. There's no game saying to that the state, Nigeria state, is under attack. And we need to defend ourselves. Let's use that word. Whatever we can do to defend ourselves from this monarchy is welcome, but you must do what is right with the right process. Two wrongs do not make good. I think the leader has spoken. Let the governors of Southwest go back to him and say, sir, what have we done wrong? What would we supposed to do?
Okay.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, Reverend
Thank
Dominic,
you,
for calling in. When Reverend Dominic said there that he wondered if indeed they had interacted with Asiwaju, I also, just looking at Asiwaju's statement, would also be on his side in the sense that Asiwaju did say in that statement that he had initiated contact with the chairman of the Governors Forum. All of it with the ultimate view of getting this whole thing where it should be, and probably now causing a sort of rapprochement between them and the Attorney General. And then the other important point that's being made by Tinubu is so that all of these matters that originally should have been private meetings, where the Attorney General would have told them this can't work and that can't work, and they would have sorted all of this out so that by the time the announcement came, only what could work would have been there. Tinubu he pointed out one or two things. He commented on the color, for instance. He commented on the color that Amotekun is taking. I don't know how significant, because you see when Tinubu, important men like this, when they start making these kind of statements, you begin to have the impression that every single word in there has its particular weight.
Absolutely.
He spoke about the color, and maybe just hold that. We'll come back and. Because the point was, and the context in which he was speaking about the color was that which was being made that look, it's all about intelligence to aid conventional security people.
Absolutely.
But we have, sorry, I thought I would see who we have on the line. Osama is calling in from Makrudi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling.
Yes. I'm calling in respect to the response of what Tinubu commented.
The statement, yeah?
Yes.
The Tinubu statement released yesterday, yeah?
So as a leader, I know a leader needs not to sit on the fence when making a comment, irrespective of. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you loud and clear. Please continue. Just go ahead.
Okay. I said as a leader, you are supposed to make a comment not to sit on the fence, no matter whose horse is gorged. is the president of Nigeria tomorrow, as George rightly said, is a future president of this country. We need to make the same statement he made as regards to this issue. The answer is no. Because if the Attorney General is not in support of a regional security architecture of which they see that it will help the region, and it's not standing the way of the presidency and it's not standing the way of the region, as a leader, if you want to be a leader, the statement they just made is a statement by let me say, a traditional ruler. A traditional ruler will make that statement and it will be advisable and it will be understandable. But as a leader and president of a country, of which somebody who called earlier that is a future president, that statement is made, to me, I would say that he doesn't want to be a president of this country. He either stood by what Attorney General says, or is put by what the Southwest region says. He has to take a stand. That is what a president does. When Donald Trump was asked in the pre-election period that what is his stance on gay marriage in America, he stood uprightly against the gay issue and gay movement. Despite the fact that he knows that the statement is going to make him to lose votes in America, but he knows that this is the right thing to do, and he stood by it. Today, he's the president of this country, of America, I mean to say. So, if Tinubu is willing to be a leader, he should stand by a statement irrespective of the consequences of what the outcome will be. I rest my case.
What case were you resting, sir? But, well, okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Osama. I'm trying to understand, well, give me your comments, and I'll also quickly ask for yours.
Like I said earlier, as far as I'm concerned, leadership is not taking stand or
taking
fighting
sides
no.
one way. Again, Mr. Sama said that the statement was the statement of a traditional ruler.
Now, so if you say, because I'm not even in the school of thought of whether it's going to be president or not, that he's going to be president of Nigeria, and you expect him to start to stick out his head and say, oh, I prefer a particular people to a particular people. How can he make a good president? And for us, like I said, we are a people who have always ensured that at the end of the day, that's security. Because you see, at the end of the day, you have a structure in place, and you're trying to put another structure in place that will aid that structure, not to thwart that structure.
Exactly.
For instance, yesterday, the Northern governors came together, and the Inspector General of Police was there to say that we also have realized that there's a need for a community policing. For me, that is something that I would regard as a gain and benefit for us. And I think it's important that we look at the gains and the things that is going on right, and we start to pursue it rather than looking at, oh, this is on the side.
Okay, because maybe Mr. Sama wanted something that he could grab hold of and say, Tinubu has said this, now let's work on this. And but you see, what Tinubu did was to speak to the entire issue, the entire issue without leaving any aspect of it out, and not putting any support anywhere or any blame anywhere. It's unnecessary. It's a national issue, and let's talk about it. But in the meantime, Mr. David is calling in from ABEOKUTA. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, you are doing a great job, and I want to appreciate what you are doing. Just keep it up.
You're too kind, sir.
And I also want to say a big thank you to the two gentlemen with you.
Thank you, sir.
My take is very simple. I believe as a leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu have done the right thing. A leader should not always speak first. A leader needs to listen to all opinions before he can provide his own opinion. To me, as a leader, that Asiwaju is, Because if Asiwaju is a leader, like some people are saying, a Yoruba leader or a national leader, they will not be waiting for his response or for his comment on this issue of Amotekun.
Yeah.
It has been confirmed that Asiwaju is a leader. We know he's a leader. Some people are doubting if Asiwaju is a leader or not. And on his speech, he has spoken very well. He never condemned Amotekun. All he's saying is that all the necessary have to be put in place to ensure that there is much running of Amotekun. I was surprised because the chairman of Southwest Governorship Forum is an FAN. I was surprised when I discovered that there is not any law. No law was put in place before the setup of this Amotekun. I think, like our leader said, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it can still be resolved. It can be resolved in the sense that both parties can meet, they can initiate a private discussion, they can meet and iron out all the area, betterment of all concerns. What am I talking about? We need a Amotekun in the Southwest, but we don't need a situation whereby we just have something that does not back by law. Once again, I want to appreciate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The last time I said that as a leader, you should not sit on fence. He's making mistakes. I remember a Yoruba prophet that says, to me, as a leader, you don't need to be seen always talking like nobody. Once again, I have to say big thank you for what you are doing. God bless your glory, and God bless all your guests. God bless Nigeria, and God bless our leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. The statement, look, okay, my personal opinion, was masterly, in the sense that it addressed every aspect of the issue, whatever your own was, but it wouldn't have satisfied whoever was looking for a sensation that they could now grab hold of. I say, aha, this is what, the man, sort of took himself out of it and said, look, let's just interrogate the issue here. There are things that can be refined, and we will go about that. He has said that he's initiated, yes, let Arakuni, Arakuni, the governor of Ondo State, once they meet, they'll find how they can then extend that so that they can meet with the Attorney General, and that which needs to be done will be done. And he counseled all the time that all of this was not helpful. All of the extreme commentary going on, people were losing it a bit. I've listened to people referring to the organization of this whole thing by all sorts of unsavory names. He didn't even go there. He just limited his commentary to it. I think the frustration, I wonder how those who have been criticizing Tinubu for not speaking, do they now need to come back and say, well, now that he has spoken, okay, we see the light now. We see the wisdom of, the reticence. Are they expected to do that, or typically human beings will just look the other way?
It depends on the interest. For many people, they will not even read that statement. They will just scan through.
Okay.
They already have prejudices.
Okay.
So no matter what is inside that statement, they are not interested. And one thing we should know is that if Asiwaju had come out openly to oppose, to support Amotekun outrightly, and say, look, the governors, and then what it will have been the headline: Asiwaju Buhari clash over Amotekun.
Something like that. Something mischievous like that.
If he had supported the federal government, Malami, they say Asiwaju Southwest governors clash. So a leader must weigh the impact of his statements. Yoruba says, "Ẹyin lohun." Words are like eggs. Once broken, they cannot be taken as a whole. So I think he spoke in a very cautious manner. And I think we are not all Asiwaju, but we must appreciate his strategic position as the national leader of a party that exists in 36 states of the country with various civilizations and values. So he needs to be very careful in pitching tents. The best he can do is to look for a roadmap that will create a kind of melting pot of ideas. Indeed. Where conflict can be resolved in the interest of all the parties. And I think that was exactly what he did. Okay.
Mr. Mohammed in Minna. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. I just really want to contribute on that issue of Amotekun.
Sure.
Yes. I think. Hello, sir.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I think what Ahmed Tinubu do is a very right something to do as a leader, and I don't think why this Amotekun issue are just spraying. It is not today. They have been planning. Even in the north, we have other group that take care of their state, that their state have bring up. I don't know why this Amotekun on is non-different. I think there is something our government has to check on, because since everything wants to become politicalized now, I think it's not something they should be shouting about. Amotekun is so upcoming. It's something. It's a security something. It's not something that career or what. And it's another way of empower people.
All right then.
So I think they should think about this well, and it's a good development.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you. Indeed. So we'll take a break now. We'll be right back. We'll continue with this conversation and taking your calls, of course. Okay, welcome back, Mr. Sheyi Adeyemo and Mr. Adewale Adeoye. So many Ades. There's the Adeyemo, there's Adewale, there's Adeoye. The only one that is different now is just the Sheyi. And if I look at it, it might be Adesheyi. No, it won't be Adesheyi.
No, it's not. It's not, obviously.
Okay, so we're looking at the statement, and there's a lot. There's a sense in which this particular statement, for those who collect those sort of things, speeches and statements like this. This one is a nugget, that, when you look at it in the fullness of time, you probably look at it and say, well, this is one particular way these speeches can be written. But beyond all of that, nice literary speech makers and all of that, they deserve their credit. But the content, we still go back to the content of it. Everything, I like the point that Adewale made, that, look, if he's the national leader of the party, a party that exists in every state of the federation, every member of his party must feel that, yeah, I have heard from my leader and I have heard sense. I can't really fault what he's saying, because there are areas that if it had been a bit more carelessly done, they might not have addressed certain things. Nothing was left out.
And that, for me, is something that we need to take forward. As a people, we've been accused of not thinking hard before we take certain decisions. I think that is something we need to stop and going forward to do properly. Because I believe that whoever, and not necessarily Asiwaju now, takes his time to look at things properly, would have the opportunity to address it properly, like he has done. And I think that is something we need to learn and start to do as a people. So whatever we're going to be doing, let us all learn how to take it in first, ruminate on it, meditate on it. By the time we're uttering a statement, it would always be as rich and as positively impactful like this statement is.
Indeed. Jude in Lagos, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning, Mr. Jude.
Yeah, I want to contribute to your program.
Sure, we'd like you to.
Yeah, my point is this. Why is it that when it comes to national issues like this, and it comes to the South, we will be positive, we will politicize things. But when it goes to the other side, the northern side, they say anything they like. Their leaders say anything they like in support of their own side. But when it comes to the South, we are too intelligent to fight against ourselves. That's just the point I want to make.
Okay. That's the point you wanted to make. Thank you very much for calling in. Did you understand him?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And I think that, for me, is an addition to what we have said. So if you're said to be intelligent, then in everything you do, intelligence must show. Because if the people say to you, you're intelligent, and at the end of the day, you now come out
Okay.
For instance, I see you at the bus stop fighting. I would not sleep that day. I would be worried because there's certain expectation that I expect from Uncle Yori. You understand? So, but if I now see myself, that was a particular incident, you just throw off your dress and start to fight on the street. You can't. The way you will address a matter must portray.
Okay, that's the point Jude was making.
Yes.
Is that how you read it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's also talking about the way we manage internal differences here.
Okay.
There are sometimes we are too, if I get him right, we are too riotous. We try to attack our leaders unnecessarily. We try to be reckless.
Okay.
Things sometimes that requires constructive engagement. We go into the pages of newspaper and start attacking people unnecessarily. And I think there's a sense in what he's saying. If we have disagreement, what we should look for is how we resolve this grievance without necessarily resorting to blackmail and name calling.
Okay, because now I come along a bit better and I understand it a bit better. If you're supposed to be intelligent, goading, a lot of goading has happened. Sort of instigating, trying to rush people to make precipitate statements, that kind of a thing. And the man explained how the interest of those people wasn't really with the issue. It was much more personal, much more political, much more looking to trip someone up for their own selfish purposes. But Lasisi in Birinin Kebi, good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lasisi.
Yeah, is it the same Yori program I'm calling?
You have reached this morning on TVC, sir.
Yeah. But Yori is in another person, Lasisi. Okay. Good morning, sir, Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Chief Williams, Eda Williams.
Okay. Somebody else.
Okay, this is someone. Okay, this is not Mr. Lasisi.
No, his name is.
Yeah, Mr. Yori.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, who is speaking with us?
Eda Williams.
Chief Williams.
Chief Williams. Good morning, sir. You're welcome.
No.
Okay. Could you turn down the volume of your TV set? I think Chief Williams, calling in from where?
From Akute.
Akute, you're very welcome, sir. Now this is Yori.
Yes, I want to contribute. First of all, I want to thank. Okay.
You can't listen from your TV, sir. You can only listen from your phone. That's why we're having these double tracks.
Okay, I've turned the television down.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Chief Yori, first of all, I want to thank you all there, especially with the man with the cap.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Sheyi Adeyemo.
Yes, Adeyemo. Okay. You see, I'm an elderly man, Igbo man from Anambra State. I want to talk about this Amotekun.
Yes.
At times I ask, what of OPC? Is it that OPC have failed, or the branding of OPC that we have this Amotekun? And I want to add, there was a time there is killings in Anambra State, kidnapping. Every Nigerian knows about it. How did our governors do about it? They quit Nigerian police, Willie Obiano, to precise. Willie Obiano, if you go to Anambra State today, people will go to their home, lie down and sleep. And you see people condemning the federal government. There are so many checkpoints. There is army, this one, the southeast. It's not like that in the north. And our governors request for those armies. It's not Buhari. And then brought about security in Anambra State and all over Eastern State. No noise about it. I began to wonder why all these noises. Look at what Tinubu said. A man, an intelligent man that I can raise my hand for at any time. That man is an intelligent man, God-given man to Nigeria. People will come to him making noise, wear very good clothes and give big title. We thought that they have, at times I wonder the kind of people we have in this nation, more especially this part of the country. At first, I once tell them, if Nigeria ends here in the south, I will say that there's nothing like APC.
Well, Chief Williams, thank you very much for calling in. If you're still speaking, I think the line sort of went bad at the end. But quite frankly, you put across your point. And we heard what you wanted to say. I mean, what he was saying was, I think he was also paying tribute to the wisdom of the sagacity of the statement as put out. And you know, we go back to the point that some other people have made, which is sort of the infighting among ourselves, perhaps in the Southwest, such as the intelligence and what they call level. But then people have to know, we have to know ourselves, and I think that is what Tinubu has demonstrated in that little preface to the statement, that people who were saying he should speak as the national leader were not really concerned about the polity and about, they were more concerned about tripping somebody up. But then it's like he was wiser than that and was smarter than that. And perhaps those who were criticizing him for lateness will understand the statement he made, that you can't really comment before all the chips are in. You've got to have everything in. Now that we know exactly where we are, then we can begin to analyze it, and this is what we have. And the governors, the Southwest governors, I think they're also down with the statement. Tinubu said he had initiated meeting with him, which somebody noted might have meant that they didn't do so in the first instance. But he is saying, nevertheless, I have initiated it. We'll see. Let's move forward from here. MARYAM in APAPA, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
There is a gender discrimination I must mention in this program.
Oh, how?
Men keep getting through, and I don't know where you want to get that, by the way.
Of course.
So, I actually want to take towards the views of so many people who have called. I mean, wisdom is not common. It is easy for an average person to just come out and say, we want our political leaders to come out and be straightforward, hit the nail on the head. What happens to diplomacy? You know, sometimes we want to play politics with everything, including things that matter so much, things as much as security, which is what we are suffering from the most right now, because I have plans for the year, but you can only have plans if you are sure of tomorrow. Many Nigerians can say, for now, we are not sure. Going out every day and coming back is a big miracle. So when issues of security comes in, there has to be a lot of deliberation. There has to be some excellent work being put to it. Everybody is needed. It is not about politics. People who are against Amotekun and those who are for, I see a lot of people on social media playing politics with something that we should deliberate about. When are we going to start having proper conversations? I don't want to say I love Tinubu like so many people have said. I want to say I respect him. I respect him. I respect his ideas. I respect his doggedness. I respect his political intelligence. I respect the leadership that, you see, the truth is this. I may not agree with everything he says or does, but this is not about politics. There is a very high probability that Amotekun will come to stay. There's also high probability it will not. But things have to go the right way. Let them do the legal work. Let them come together and do. I think even the governors didn't do an excellent job. They have really not given, because I hear a lot of counter. They are not supposed to wear uniform. They are supposed to be in the bush. Are they supposed to be armed? They are not supposed to be armed. A lot of work has to be put into this. Then you can now come to the table and do a proper deliberation. And it has to work with the constitution of the country.
Indeed.
As much as we all crave security, remember this. I could be sick and I have two people who could cure me. I say, okay, I want to go to the everyday hospital and there's an alternative. The alternative might be able to cure me and give me a bigger problem. Somebody says to me, I had fibroid. A native person gave me something to eat. Today, the person is having some failures of organs, important organs. So you can't be trying to cure one sickness and you have 5 or something even worse. Let us be less political about issues that concern life. May God bless you all. Bless Tinubu and bless our country, Nigeria. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, MARYAM, calling in from APAPA. Well, wonderful contribution there. Yeah. And that's it. That's the import of what it all is. It's a difficult thing, but she, again, like a number of people, have commended the is it the wisdom, we don't want to be going over it like a cracked record. Yeah. But Emmanuel in Otukpo is also coming in on this subject. Good morning, sir. Mr. Emmanuel? I didn't waste any time at all, but we lost it. Let's see if we can get it back in again. MARYAM was making the point that look, social media is fine, is one thing. There have been all sorts of jokes going on social media. But there's a time when we have to be reflective. Was also a point that she's made. We've all seen the Amotekun jumper going for £59 at some store in the UK. we will have our fun. But can we sit down and become sensible and when the time comes and just reflect on it? And in case there was any inkling on our part to be too playful, the Tinubu statement has come in and has sort of gone over it again, satisfying everyone. What we were saying before MARYAM called in was that APC exists all over the country. Tinubu is the national leader of APC, and he himself said, if it is indeed true that I am a national leader, then I don't have the liberty to be anything but extreme position. Yes, to have an extreme position, because there are those who will now say, aha. In fact, somebody from Norway. Anthony, good morning, Anthony. You're calling in all the way from Norway.
Yes.
Okay, great to have you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I want to contribute for this issue this morning.
Go ahead.
That's something that I don't even see what or listen for what Tinubu has said. I just wake up this morning from my sleeping, then see that you people are discussing about it.
I see. You've
not.
Yeah.
Human life is important. Yoruba people have come out say that they want to secure their people. Please.
Sorry, Anthony, you're gonna have to. There's an H missing from your name. We apologize for that, but we'll come to it. Now, you got to turn down the volume of your TV set, so you don't listen through your phone, not through your TV.
I have done that. I have done it. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Carry on, please.
Yeah, Uncle Yore.
Yes, sir.
There's one another man that has he's an Igbo man, a man. I'm too. I'm an Igbo man. Okay. Yoruba people have come out to secure their senators, their slaves, their people. Uncle Yore is very. I watch a lot of things that have happened in Yoruba land. Yoruba land is no good area. Please, anything that will make this Amotekun to go back, please, Yoruba people not allow it. Amotekun must come there to secure those
Please, nobody should play politics in this Amotekun. Let Yoruba take over place. This elderly man from Anambra that is telling me Anambra State governor has employed police to make sure that everywhere in Anambra is calm. Uncle, you really want this sense.
Okay, well,
How many people have...
The line is challenging. Is the line good? Anthony, we're having a problem with the line, but we want to thank you very much for calling in from Norway. You said you didn't quite know what they were talking about. You just woke up and saw the caption that Tinubu and Amotekun, everybody's talking about it. I'm sure by the time you just Google it a bit, you'll get the full text of Tinubu's statement on Amotekun. But thank you very much for calling in from Norway on this whole matter. You know, there's a sense in which, look, anything about Nigeria goes all over the world. And by the way, the Amotekun thing, I heard him speaking about Yoruba. Yeah, first of all, it is Yoruba in the sense that it's from Yoruba-speaking areas. But the point has been made that this thing is, it's about protecting everybody that comes within that geographic area. It doesn't matter what your religious perspective is, or your language, or your tribe. If you're in that area, you're a Nigerian, you need to feel safe. And until now, you know, there have been challenges in that regard. I think the sponsors of it have been at pains to emphasize that whole point. That it doesn't matter who you are. If you come within that region, all this banditry, kidnapping, robbery, none of that, you know, when this whole idea has been refined and put on its legs, none of that should be a danger anymore. Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Honestly, gentlemen in the studio, you see, there are three cardinal points or three cardinal things we have to take into consideration in any country. One, health. Two, security. Three, education. Now, this Amotekun or Amotekun, what is it? Nigerian we call it.
Amotekun.
Okay, that's the name. I went on Amotekun. It creates employment. Let me tell you, we have to look at the benefits of what we are creating. I don't know why people are talking. If we go to Facebook, Mama Book, any book, see people talking. Amotekun has created employment. If you come back to have their say, maybe they say Bakase strike force or Bakase revolutionary force, it will create employment. Let them come down east. Another point is that it's also helpful in terms of community policing, because everybody in all the environment within that, they know all the terrain. Nobody can come from left and right and say you are going to left. It's not possible, because you are there, you know your terrain, 247, nobody will be, no shaking. So I support it. It will bring investors, because no investor will come to a place to invest where you don't have security.
Yes.
247. So that is why, church, I don't know why people are talking too much. Just this voice is to start that all the 6 geopolitical zones should start Amotekun in their own zone. So that you get the federal government said they want to give employment for 10 million. How will you give 10 million employment where there's no security? So we need it sharp there. By the grace of God, through the oracle of the Holy Spirit, it will work. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu. Well, our time is spent. But I think it has been spent very well to the extent that we've heard the most important guest on this program has been those of you out there. We need to hear what you think about the issue, and today has been, you know, an interesting day. But of course, that doesn't mean that without the pilots and the co-anchors of Mr. Sheyi Adeyemo and Mr. Adewale Adeoye, you know, it would have been as smooth as it has been. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your perspectives. Yes, and so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.